Hey everyone! Welcome back to another tale of true crime at graveyarddance.com, where we do all types of stories of true crime, dark history, strange and eerie mysteries, and all kinds of other things of that nature. If you like that type of content, you would really be helping me out in a huge way if you'd hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you'll see all my future stories. With all that out of the way, onto the tragic and horrific story of Missy Avila. Michelle, or Missy as she liked to be called, was born on February the 8th, 1968. As a child, she grew up in the Los Angeles suburb of Artleta in the San Fernando Valley. She had a very happy life and she was a great kid who did very well in school for her first few years, but as she reached high school, problems began to arise in both her personal life as well as her grades. She made two friends around the age of 8, Karen Severson and Laura Doyle. They played together all the time and often hung out after school, and was lifelong friends. In their first year of junior high, Missy was accused of flirting with another classmate's boyfriend, and the girl, who was named Sonia Bone, beat Missy unmercifully as to where she needed hospital attention. The beating was so bad, that Missy's mother sued the other girl for damages. Missy claimed she never did what she was accused of. She was very friendly and often had a happy smile, so she was probably mistaken for just being an overall nice person. Almost everyone who came in contact with her had nothing but great things to say, except for the girls who were jealous of her. As we said, Missy, Karen and Laura were all good friends who was almost always seen together, but when the girls were 14, things started to change. As close as they were, Karen had become pregnant at 14, so she was forced to drop out of school. Because of this, the girls began to drift apart and didn't see each other as much. Missy had also met a guy named Randy who she really liked a lot. The one problem they had was he liked to party and flirt with other girls, and she wanted a more one-on-one relationship, as most people would. After a few months, Missy broke things off with Randy when she saw things weren't going to change. At the same time, things were starting to go very badly at school. Rumors started going around that Missy was sleeping with several of the more popular girls' boyfriends, and she was getting bullied and threatened over it. She denied every bit of it and said it was all lies, but the other girls wouldn't believe her. She couldn't go anywhere or do anything without the threat of getting beaten up. It was all taking a toll on her grades as well. It wasn't long before she changed schools. She was transferred to an intermediate school where her old friends Karen and Laura were both attending, and the three started to become friends again, but it wouldn't last. Rumors started to spread again that Missy was sleeping with Karen's and Laura's boyfriends. Naturally, she told the girls that it was all a lie, and whoever started the rumors before was probably the one spreading these now. Laura believed her friend, Karen, not so much. There was a fight between the girls where Karen slapped Missy and the friendship ended. To add to that, it wasn't long before Karen was dating Missy's ex. To add fuel to an already burning hatred between the girls, one night at a party Missy was there when Randy and Karen showed up. Randy playfully pulled Missy into his lap and kissed her before she even knew what was happening. Karen was livid. Not at Randy, but at Missy. Things were about to go very, very bad. Months went by and Karen and Missy hadn't spoken. Laura and Missy had managed to repair their friendship and move on, or so Missy thought. On October 1st of 1985, just 1 week before she was supposed to testify against her first attacker, Sonia Bone, in a court of law, Laura called up Missy and wanted to know if she wanted to hang out. Missy happily agreed. She asked her mother if she could go and she said yes, as long as she was home by 6. Missy was a great kid and had always done what was asked of her by her mother, Avila, so she had no worries about her not being on time. But on this day, she wouldn't be home on time, or ever again. Laura picked her up and was supposed to drive around town and then go to a place called Stonehurst Park where they would socialize with friends. Teenagers did that a lot before the days of cell phones and internet. 6 p.m. came and went and Missy wasn't home. She heard the phone ring and expected it to be her daughter, but was surprised to hear that it was the girl she was supposed to be with, Laura. Laura asked if Missy was home and her mom said, "I thought she was with you." Laura claimed they drove around town for a while and went to the park and was about to pull out because they didn't see anyone she knew, but Missy had asked to stay for a while. According to Laura, there was a blue Chevy Camaro, there were 3 guys in it and Missy wanted to go say hi. She claimed she knew them. Laura told her mother that she told Missy she was going to fill up her car with gas and that she would be right back to pick her up, but when she got back, she was nowhere to be found. Irene immediately called the police and was able to file a missing persons report the next morning. Sadly, 2 days later on October 4th, Missy's body was found by some hikers, face down in a stream in Big Tahunga Canyon in Angeles National Forest. All of her hair that she was so proud of and loved was all hacked off down to her skull, and her body was held down underwater by a huge 4-foot-long piece of broken log. Police quickly questioned Laura and she told them that her, Missy and Karen had all became friends again and went riding around and parked at the park. They both described the blue Camaro and the boys that Missy had went over to talk to, but police couldn't find any suspects who fit the description. For years, Laura stuck by their story that they had left her in the parking lot to talk with the boys and were coming right back after gassing up their car, but years later, she changed her story and said they had dropped her off at a church. During all the years leading up to this, Karen was a regular at the Avila household. She and Laura had even went to the funeral and had spent a lot of time at the Avila household, Karen in particular. She seemed obsessed with anything that came out about the case and allegedly told the family that she wanted to help find the killer or killers. The entire time, she knew that she was one of the 2 involved. Around the same time that Laura had changed her story, a new face came up in the investigation. A young lady named Eva Chirimbolo. 3 years had passed since the murder and she told police that when Laura had picked up Missy, her and Karen were in another car following. As they drove toward Angeles National Forest, Karen kept driving up alongside of Laura and was screaming and yelling at Laura. She was zigzagging in and out of traffic with her window down, yelling at Laura that she was going to attack her and was calling her names. The way they were driving was scaring the hell out of Missy. When they got to the parking lot, all 4 girls got out of the car and was watching Laura and Karen yell at each other. Missy tried to get her friends to stop fighting. That's when they both turned to look at her with an evil look. They told her that they was only acting like that, but that Missy herself was the one they were mad at. It all went back to the jealousy thing. Laura and Karen had been the ones responsible for the rumors from the start. Good friends, huh? Karen in particular outgrew to hate Missy because she was thinner and prettier than her somewhat overweight friend. She hated Missy because she felt like everyone paid her more attention and jealousy ate at her about it. Pretty soon, both girls came to hate Missy because of her pretty looks and how everyone seemed to love her more. Karen started to beat up Missy and both girls were yelling at her. They started to drag her down a walking path where they beat her some more. Eva was afraid to fight back against the girls, after seeing what they were doing to Missy, so she ran back to the car. She later claimed she didn't know what else to do but sit and wait for them to return out of fear for her own life. In the meantime, it became clear to Missy as to what was going to happen to her. After a brutal beating, she sat down on a log and started to cry. Karen finished the murder of Missy. She held her down, tied her hands behind her back and strangled her underwater until she drowned. She then started hacking off her hair with a knife and left the giant log across her back so she couldn't get up. On the way home, they were laughing about what they had done and told Eva to keep her mouth shut or the same thing would happen to her. She did, for a while. Her conscience got the best of her and she finally helped solve the case that police had been stumped over for 3 years. In March 1990, Karen and Laura were convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 15 years in prison. Karen did 23 years and got out in 2011 and Laura was released in December 2012. It wasn't enough in my own personal opinion, but Karen was about to add insult to injury to the Avila family. Karen wrote 2 books about murdering Missy and was set to make a ton of money after getting them published. This was before the laws that are now in place that would have prevented it. Thankfully though, the Avila family sued Karen and will now get any proceeds from the 2nd book. She still goes around to high schools making speeches to others about not bullying others. Isn't that something? The things I'd like to say about this woman that community standards won't let me say. Moving on. Yep, she helps murder a defenseless teenage child and now makes a living from it. Sounds legit. I'm being sarcastic there for anyone wondering. Although Eva was with the girls at the place of the murder, she was never charged with any crime. She also helped solve the case, so yeah, there's that. Missy dreamed of becoming a physical therapist to help others. She robbed her of her dream and would now try to profit from her death. In 1992 a made-for-TV movie was made called Killer Among Friends. It starred Patty Duke and Tiffany Amber Thiessen. Although the names were changed, it's based on the Missy Avila case and follows the story pretty closely and accurately. Hopefully Laura and Karen crawled back under the rocks they came from. Irene Avila made it very clear of her hatred for them. She begged the courts for the death penalty, but of course they had to parole them. Go figure! I hope you enjoyed this week's true crime story. If you have suggestions for a future story, we'd love to hear about them in the comments below. Also a huge thank you to everyone who takes the time to watch our videos and who takes the time to like and share them. We appreciate you! Till next time! Be careful who your friends are and stay safe out there!